First of all, I would like to give this committee a hand because they have done a tremendous job. Let's all give them a big hand for it. Winston Churchill once said that statistics are like a bikini. What they reveal is interesting, what it conceals is vital. You've heard statistics today. I am the meat on the bones of the statistics. My story of addiction begins before birth. I'm an only child and both of my parents were alcoholics. My mother started drinking when she was 8 years old. Her father gave it to her out of a liquor cabinet. He was a judge. My father learned to drink in the U.S. Army when he was 17. I often ask myself why they ever had a child. When I was born, I started having withdrawals, and at that time they had no idea that babies could have alcohol addiction or withdrawals, and so the local doctor said I had epilepsy. They sent me to Birmingham for evaluation. The doctor said it's not epilepsy, we're not sure what it is. So the country doctor up home, not having another explanation, said mother was simply nervous and having a child at the age of 43 and had transferred that nervousness through her milk because I was breastfed. So I got another dose of liquor through that. They gave me, I had a small chair that I would sit in, and Daddy would bring me beer to drink in the chair when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. After I got into school, he got me up every morning to drink, take a drink with him. It was always blackjack and Coke or Old Forester and Coke. I'm sure I went to school many times smelling of liquor, but the teachers probably didn't believe it because I was otherwise a good kid. I managed to go through college, graduated with a 4-point average on a 4-point scale. That was a miracle, having been an alcohol child and been the product of a mother who was 43 at the time I was born. In 1951, that was old to be having a kid. I went to work as a probation and parole officer with the state of Alabama. In 1985, I married the love of my life, who's sitting over here, who had no idea that I was addicted to pills. My father had had an injury at work and had been given Percocet and Percodan. He started giving those to me, and it wasn't long before I was hooked. I managed to work and complete a career of 28 years with the state and retired. But we had many interesting things to happen along the way. About 2 years after we were married, we had a holiday coming up on a long weekend. You know, my uncle used to say the state of Alabama gave you Lee's horse had a birthday, we had a holiday. So I'd had a weekend of drinking and hadn't shaved or anything else, and got up and told my wife I was going to the liquor store, and she said, "You're not going." I said, "I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to the liquor store." "You're not going." So I go out and get in the truck and start it. See her standing on the patio, and I heard something go, ping, ping. I tried to back the truck. It wouldn't back. I tried to go forward, and it wouldn't go. She had shot the tires off my truck. Stand up, hon. For a lady who did not know how to shoot a gun, she took my service revolver from probation and parole and managed to hit the first 2 times she took a shot. That's a miracle. I said, "Hon, I don't think I'm going." I never drank another drop. That was the last of that. However, the pills continued because I had easy access. I was a public figure in town. All the doctors knew me. I could walk in and say what I wanted and get it. No problem. I went through 2 inpatient treatment programs, 2 outpatient treatment programs, and on Veterans Day in 1997, when the end was close, and she was about to divorce me, there was an ad in the paper for the local methadone clinic. That saved my life. And if you think methadone is another drug that's not worth anything, think again. Because it saved my life, my career, my marriage, and everything I had. 20 years later, I have never had a dirty drug screen. I've maintained to work every day. As I said, I retired and tried to find something else to do and didn't really find anything. And so I was sitting one day and I got a call from one of the local officials. He offered me another career. I became a police officer. And to this day, I still work. 4 years later, I'm a police officer up home, regular street cop. Go out and work a regular shift. This week, we've had a murder that was drug-related. Had a young man that stole an automobile and pulled a weapon on us in a sporting goods store. That was drug-related. Those who do the drugs may do a lot of things, but they don't bullshit me, because I know exactly where they're coming from. But I use this position to do all I can to help those who need it. And as I say, I think the good Lord's given me that opportunity. I thank you this afternoon for listening to me. And please don't ever lose faith and don't lose hope. Thank you.
I am Buddy Smith. I'm a past chairman of the Board of Medical Examiners, and I am currently on the Board of Medical Examiners, and I was asked to speak a little bit about what's been going on at the Board of Medical Examiners over the last several years. I've been on the board since 2005, and I've greatly appreciated the time to speak. And I thank Darlene, who is also on the Board of Medical Examiners, for her time that she's put into this. I know it's been a labor of love for her, but she also has a family and a practice, and so I know that she squeezed this in between those things and does all of them well. So thank you again, Darlene, for asking me here. We became concerned, as in general, because of the numbers. We can read numbers as well as anybody at the Board of Medical Examiners, and we certainly acknowledge that overprescribing has been part of the problem. As some of our speakers have said, this is not the entire solution, but it is part of the problem, and you can see these numbers right here. I would say that the numbers are somewhat disconcerting because there was an increase this past year, but in general, the trend has been lower numbers, lower prescriptions since we enacted some of the things that we've talked about starting in the year 2013. The other slide I wanted to show, which emphasizes how much all the other speakers have said, is that it's a multifactorial problem that doesn't have a one solution, it has many. As our Rhode Island guests, though, they have had the greatest reduction in opioid prescribing of any state in the country. You also notice on our slides that they haven't had any reduction in opioid deaths and overdose. So there is a lot to do. There is a lot of ways to attack this. We certainly are looking at the prescriber aspect from the Board of Medical Examiners, but it's not the only answer. Reduced prescribing has not proven particularly helpful in reduced deaths. Our other speakers have given us solutions to that. In 2013, our legislator passed a Pain Management Act. This was in response to the Florida pill mill closures. And basically, we went from, at the Board of Medical Examiners, individual prescribers to regulating pain clinics. The definition of that is basically if you decide if you're a pain clinic or if you're in the top 3% of prescribers in the state. The idea, of course, was not just to close down one doctor's practice, but to close down clinics, particularly if there were pill mills. We would say that has been successful. It's been used on multiple occasions to close down egregious behavior. It does have exemptions. And there's multiple components to it to try to help us get rid of the entire business, not just one doctor. It does require a medical director, and that allows us to regulate them, and we make sure that they have proper CME and an unrestricted Alabama license. And these are some of the penalties that occur. That law also did some other things. One, it is against the law to doctor shop in Alabama. It was not before. And second, it allowed us to use the PDMP data to look for aberrant behavior. Beforehand, we usually were a complaint-driven agency, and so, as you can imagine, drug addicts who are getting all the drugs they want don't complain very much. The only time we'd get a complaint would not be from a pharmacist or the parent of an overdose victim. So now we can spot trends, spot aberrant behavior, and prosecute from that angle now. That's been a real sea change for us and allowed us to have more control over the prescribing habits here in Alabama. And again, we also regulate dispensing now. So we'll go through that. These are a current view of the new rule that took place yesterday. And this new rule, which our Attorney General alluded to when his talk earlier today, was involving somewhat of a change in attitude from us because we recognize the breadth of this epidemic. And this shows that we had been just suggesting these strategies. And if you've come to our 3 opioid prescribing courses a year, you'll hear us talk a lot about this. But now we've codified risk evaluation for doctors and prescribers in the state of Alabama. The CDC report was utilized for this. Most of you are probably familiar with that report. If not, it's readily available at cdc.gov. And it also changed some things that we had not done in the past, and now they're starting as of yesterday, are law. One, the risk and abuse mitigation strategies are now required, and you can see them there. As you can see, PDMP checks are required. Before, Alabama only required that you register. That's only been for the last 2 years. But you had to register with the PDMP to get your ACSC, which is your narcotic prescribing certificate. The next slide will show that, but we do now require you to look at the PDMP under certain circumstances. We also require you to assess the patient regarding risk of opioid addiction and other things such as psychiatric problems, etc. And the real sea change for us is this slide right here, using morphine milliequivalents, MME, which if you don't know what they are, you should learn because it's really important in this subject. If you prescribe more than 30, so that'd be 31, you are required to look at the PDMP twice a year. When you prescribe more than 90 per day, you're required to look at it every prescription that's written. This is a big change for us. It's a big change for the way our philosophy. So the PDMP, we expect it to be accessed a lot more. Hopefully we will find more cases of doctor shopping or diversion. Even more important from my standpoint, this hopefully will allow doctors to realize the consequences of writing high doses, that they will understand that they need to think carefully before they escalate to these higher doses. If the number 90 comes from the CDC. The CDC picked that number because just above that is where the overdose risk in terms of the total amount of dosage really escalates. So this does provide for some exemptions, nursing home, hospice, active cancer treatment, et cetera. But we think that this is a really good change from the board standpoint. We are, I think, in line with current national thinking. We're certainly in line with what the CDC recommends, and we hope this will allow an improvement in the prescribing environment in Alabama. Also, this is an opioid summit, but I would be remiss to not talk about the fact that a lot of other things get prescribed besides opioids. We are really interested in the comorbidities of people prescribing other things with opioids. The overdose risk, the morbidity risk really goes up, particularly with benzodiazepines. And although it's not a rule, it's a suggestion, it's a strong suggestion, and we're going to be looking closely at that relationship in the future. And again, this all started yesterday. We also now require, for the first time in our history, a mandated CME. We've not done that before. Regarding opioid education, that will start January 1st, 2018, and will be part of this rule, and will require people to get 2 hours over 2 years, which of course will be extremely non-difficult to do considering the internet and the wide variety of opioid education that there is there. So again, this can be used to punish providers. We don't want to do that. We are greatly believe in education first. That's why we sponsor 3 different courses on prescribing a year. Over 4,500 participants so far. We spread the word about good prescribing habits, good prescribing practices. We think it's made a difference in prescribing in Alabama, but as we all have heard today, much more needs to be done. Thank you very much.
As far as the PDMP, that does fall under the Pharmacy Division of the Department of Public Health Management. And I am very excited to tell you that right now we are sharing data with about 9 states. We have added several, we've added 7, I believe, in the last 2 weeks. So the first is that I'm very excited about is Mississippi. It's one of our surrounding states. We do have a one-way share with Florida that Becky talked about today. They can see our data, but due to Florida law, we can't see theirs. Tennessee will be added probably next Friday, and we're still working with Georgia to try to data share with them. So this is a step in the right direction. We've added several that are within our interstate routes. So we're looking at going up 65 and going west on 20. So we'll be talking to Texas and Louisiana, and we already have added Arkansas. So I'm very excited about the progress we've made there. And the next thing I wanted to mention to you is the data-driven prevention initiative that we're doing. All these activities we've had, and I've attended, I think this is the 6th one in the last 2 months, is to educate people about the problem. Our job is to come up with the solutions for it. So on April 28th, we'll be getting together with stakeholders who are interested, and I would say come dressed comfortably. We don't have a lot of speakers, but we have lots of workshops. You'll be divided into your discipline. You'll work with your discipline to come up with 2 or 3 ideas to put into our initiative. And that's where, to me, it all begins, in coming up with those solutions. So thank you for coming. If you're interested in being part of the DDPI, please let me know. And we're just excited that we have so many interested leaders in this topic. Thank you.
said that we were all leaders. And Napoleon Bonaparte said that a leader is a dealer in hope. And I want to pass on a little bit of hope. We've heard so much needs to be done in the state of Alabama. We've got some good ideas from some other states. But Dr. Johnston indicated that Alabama is in line for some money, $8 million. And that's something to be hopeful about. We will be getting $8 million from the Center for Substance Abuse Administration, SAMHSA, and I wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that is going to be used, what it's planned to be used for at this point. We have it's the CURES grant. We submitted our application, and I understand now that all states submitted their applications. They were due February 17th. And I understand the awards will be made at the end of April, somewhere around May. $8 million, right at $8 million. No more than 5% of that money can go for infrastructure or administrative overhead. And I think that was intentional. I know it was intentional by SAMHSA. They wanted to make sure that that money got into the communities and to address the gaps that existed in the communities relative to services. And Alabama plans to spend the 5% on infrastructure, which is $400,000, not very much. It means we won't be hiring a lot of staff. We've got to have some program evaluation, we'll be doing that, and hiring a project director, just very minimal staff. Out of the remaining 95% of that grant, 80% has to be spent on treatment of opioid use disorders. And that's exactly what we plan to do. We plan to, out of the remaining 20% of the 95%, we are going to do some prevention services. The Department of Mental Health has a strategic prevention framework, prescription drug grant, discretionary grant already. And we're going to do some things to supplement that grant, targeting young people in underserved areas of the state. In regard to we're also, with part of that 20%, we're going to put more naloxone out into the community. We will, with the treatment money, the majority of that money has been budgeted at this point, designated to be spent on medication-assisted treatment, and that is for all of the FDA-approved medications, Suboxone, Vivitrol, and Methadone. And in Alabama, we have a huge gap in regard to access to medication-assisted treatment. Unless you have the funds or insurance or Medicaid to pay for it, then you don't get those services in our state, and we want that to end. We want people who need those services, regardless of what door they show up at, whether it's an emergency room, whether it's in a drug-free treatment program, or if they show up at a medication-assisted treatment program, we want them to be able to access those services. We're also going to do a public awareness campaign, because we are hearing far too often that people don't know that treatment is available, that they can access services without having a lot of money. And we also want to help use that campaign to fight stigma. Stigma has really, really hurt our efforts to try to make medication-assisted treatment mainstream in this state. And that is in best practice. You have heard it today from many people that this is a best practice, and if I had any kind of sickness or illness, I'd want to get what I know works for me. And we want the same for the people that we serve. We're going to have a 24-hour hotline, and that will be linked to assessments, because most of you know that it's kind of difficult to get into substance abuse treatment in Alabama. We have waiting lists right now for our assessments, and we want to put some of this money into making assessments more accessible. And the 24-hour hotline will link people to those assessments within 24 hours. We are putting about $1.5 million into peer support services to support people who have opioid use disorders, those who are coming out of the criminal justice system, out of emergency rooms, as well as in our medication-assisted treatment programs. We think that this will be a great link to long-term recovery. Finally, we want to make sure, as I indicated earlier, that there is no wrong door, which means that we want to do a lot of training with all of our providers in all of our treatment programs, motivational interviewing to help support people getting into treatment, and shared decision making so that people will have a choice. They can know that I don't have to take methadone, I don't have to take Suboxone, I can go drug-free if I want to, but they will have a choice as opposed to the program providing the choice for them. That's a summary of how the grant will be spent. We will have to have a strategic plan to guide these funds. I was asked at a provider meeting day before yesterday, it might have been yesterday, I'm a little confused. One day this week, I was asked, well, Sarah, what about the strategic plan that we had back in 2012? And I think he was talking about the strategic plan that came out of the prescription drug issue that we were dealing. I'm not sure. But it really has stayed with me. And I know that often we will get up a lot of momentum and develop programs and plans, and nothing goes forward. So I think it was a legitimate questions. What do I think? Why do I think this is different? I think our commissioner this morning, Commissioner Purdue, said it very well. It's about time. I think, what is it? The moon is in the seventh house, and it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. I think everything is coming together right now. I think this is the time for this to happen. I know. Yeah, he said I'm showing my age. He's right. Fifth dimension. Yeah. I think it is time. I was just so moved when I went to the heroin walk in Birmingham 2 weeks ago, and there were thousands of people there. I have never, in all of my years working, I've never seen that many people come together for an issue dealing with substance use disorders. It's the right time. Secondly, I think we have the right leadership. Dr. Miller and Commissioner Purdue are committed to this effort. And in any kind of effort, you've got to have good leadership. Public health and mental health, we're addressing a huge public health problem, and the Department of Mental Health is indeed the single state agency for substance abuse services in Alabama. It's going to work because they are leading us. And finally, you. I think you are critical to any success that we can have in making Alabama a better place for people who have substance use disorders and opioid use disorders. And Dr. Miller quote, he had a lot of great quotes that he left us with, and I have one. I don't have Dr. King and those people, but I have Dr. Seuss. And in the words of Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And it's not. Nothing is going to get better in Alabama without you caring a whole awful lot. You care a whole awful lot to be here on a Friday with us. God bless you, and I thank you, and we're going to do great things for the people of Alabama.